As much as I studied this block, I did not realize it was a nighttime spot. So in other words, if I'm not here until midnight every night, I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. Right now, I don't know what the word vacation means. This fly is humongous. It was on the counter. I
Yeah.
tried in front. One customer went like this, smacked it right in front of me.
With their hand?
Yeah, and the fly just got. And then I smacked it also with the same person, and it's like super
You,
fly.
what did you use?
I used my hand and I thought I got him, and he
Yeah.
just got up and just like said, "Hey man, so the next time he comes and lands on the counter, I'm taking my Gatorade bottle."
Well, Marty, you know what you got to do? You got to sock it to him.
Right. Anyway, so I got,
Not with a sock, though.
but what I did not have then, uh, it doesn't tell all, but it's a point of sale system. I never had a point of sale system. I had cameras, but whatever the case is, when somebody really wants to steal, they'll find a way to steal. Okay, but I have a much tighter system of keeping track of my inventory. So if something's all of a sudden selling really well, it's either selling through the system. If it's not selling through the system, then somebody's stealing it. So I can be able to tell, whereas in the past, I was not able to tell that. So when I originally started this thing, I started as a street peddler. I've been doing this for 35 years, and then I employed this woman that I was living with at the time, her best friend, and he used to say, "Hey, Marty, you're my best friend." And guess what? So on St. Mark's Place, I rented space. When you go to St. Mark's Place between Second and Third, all the outside little booths there, they're there because of me. I'm the one who started it. When I went down to the building department and St. Mark's Place, especially between Second and Third Avenue, all they're recessed buildings. So when I had my location at 27 St. Mark's Place, I had it in my lease that I was allowed to put merchandise out there as part of my store. So in those days, that was my bread and butter. But unfortunately, if I'm not there 24/7, which I cannot be, unfortunately, it's what's called sticky fingers. Never worked the store by myself. I would have to have either two or three people. Well, in addition to myself, I would have to have either another person and possibly a third person. It was a very small store, but you know, people were stoned down crack. They were like road runner coming through your store. I mean, they were quick and they were thieves. The people that were stoned on heroin, those were easy to catch because while they're looking to steal from you, they're nodding out. Matt, you know what was going on back then? This is how sick it was. Just imagine doing your laundry at a laundromat and going back to your dryer so you can fold up your laundry and bring it home. They were going into the laundromats and taking everybody's wet laundry out of the dryer, and they were selling it 2 blocks away. So just imagine going back to your laundry and can't wait to get home or possibly fold it at the laundromat, and there's nothing there to fold because it's all gone. It's missing.
They could, I guess, ransom it.
They
You
would
could
be
buy it back.
right, but they were selling it 2 blocks away.
Yeah,
I mean,
that dryer's become a lot more expensive. I thought $1 was a lot. It turns out it's going to be $80.
I mean, in the last number of years, people used to come inside my store and they go, "What happened to the area? What happened to the neighborhood?" And I said to them, "This is what happens when the landlords come in and double and triple your rent. This is called gentrification, and this is what you get. You get corporate America. Now there's Chipotle on the block. Besides Chipotle, it became food court. All the I was at least I experienced St. Mark's in the '80s and the '90s and the early 2000s when it was crazy. Even though I was dealing with a lot of people that were thieves. I mean, you got to realize. I mean, I knew a lot of thieves back in the day. I knew this one guy. I mean, like back in the day, his name was Eric. He's no longer alive. Eric was a very intelligent man. There are a lot of people that are very intelligent. Unfortunately, they get involved in drugs. Okay, so he was actually he directed one film. He had a small part in this movie back in the '60s called, and I've been meaning to watch it for all these years. Putney Swope. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Anyway, he had a small part in that. He owned part of a Japanese restaurant. Very well spoken, well educated, and he said he always used to. My name is Marty, but he always used to call me by my formal name. He used to go Martin, hey, and he was like Harpo Marx. He would open up his jacket, and it's like, I mean, I'll never forget. One day he comes to my store, and he had a flat ass, and he pulls out this pot from his ass that weighed 75 pounds. I said, Eric, how can you be walking around with a pot in your ass that weighs 75 pounds? It was made in France, and I had to buy it from him. You know, I rinsed it. I mean, it was clean, but I said, I can't believe this. And he said he would only steal from corporate America stores, but one day he did not do that, and that's when I stopped buying anything he came. I said, you know, you always promised me you would only steal from corporate America stores. So whatever the case is, one day this woman's having an art expedition an art show, in Soho, and he steals all her stuff. And he's trying to sell it to me. I said, Eric, who is this from? Oh, some woman's supposed to have an art show tonight. I said, you took all her stuff? Are you out of your mind? I said, you have to go back there and give her back her stuff. And if you don't go back there, send somebody else back there. You cannot sell this. This is horrible, okay? I said, if you do not return this, I will never, ever buy anything from you again. And that's it. I mean, we can say hello to each other, but I mean, right now, if you can't do it yourself and you can't have somebody do it for you, but he never did, and he flipped it to somebody else, and that was it. That was it. But
did you volunteer to bring it back to the lady?
I couldn't because I was at my store. I couldn't close up my shop. You know, I couldn't do it. I was, I had me and one other person, and it was back in the day where I couldn't leave one person in the store to do that. So it was a show in Soho that he ripped off. I said, this is horrible. I mean, but
that's
this
as worse as it gets.
I'm sorry?
That's as bad as it gets.
No, I mean, just imagine having an art show and everything is missing because some guy stole everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's low. So I said after that...
It's like you said about without having the point of sale. You're like, oh, the things are flying off the shelves. It must be a good seller.
Right.
But it's actually not selling.
Right.
So this woman may have, for one moment, been so thrilled to think that all her art sold.
Yeah, but who would have had thought that somebody would come in and steal all her artwork?
Your sock store. Where did you get the idea?
Well, the whole thing is that I actually worked for somebody else, not selling socks. I grew up in the Bronx, and they used to always have wild parties in the house. They never drank, never did any drugs, but they used to always have this spacious mansion house, and we all knew they were street peddlers. Little did I know how much money they were making. They were doing it all illegally, and he knew exactly when the cops were in a bar and whatever the case is. He knew all the routes, and this guy, him and his wife, were cleaning up. So I called him up one day, and I said, and his name is Larry. Anyway, married couple, and he said, well, we never considered hiring somebody.
Where were they peddling? On the Bronx or down here?
Oh, no, in Manhattan, all over Manhattan.
Without security?
Oh,
or maybe a lookout?
No, but it was him and his wife.
So they didn't thieves weren't a concern back then?
They were always a concern, but it's different. It was him and his wife, so they always had each other's back. And then, when I worked for them, I was doing it by myself. So, I had an argument with them. I did have a chip on my shoulder. He said to me, and it was a really bad time for me to have lost my job with them. He said to me, all you have to do is apologize to my wife, and you can have your job back. And I really wanted to, but I felt like I couldn't do it. And then I was on my own, and then I said, well, this is all the money I have. My father was alive, and he said, how much money do you have? I said, about $1,500, maybe a little bit more. sent me a check for $2,000. He used to always send me checks, and I was always to send it back to him because he worked very hard in his life, and like even when I asked him for an allowance at the age of 15, he said, "I can't afford to give you an allowance. You're gonna have to go out and get a job." So I've been working since I'm 15. So the whole thing is, I mean, that's why, like all the kids that come around right now, I know I'm veering off on this. Let me answer the first question. How I got into this? First of all, socks. And when I got into this, whereas I have so many varieties right now, there at that time period, 35 years ago, you can basically just get black, white, navy, brown, cream. It was basic socks. Very few companies made novelty socks. Very few. I had a couple of companies, but honestly, I couldn't afford to sell them on the street because they were too expensive for the street. So I had just basic stuff. Well, basic stuff at a reasonable price, all made in America, sold. And so anyway, whatever the case may be, I got a street vending license.
Your dad helped you. That $2,000 helped you get your own license.
No, I actually was able to obtain the license before he did. I told him what my plans were, and he kind of matched whatever I had. So I started my business on like $3,500, $4,000, and I worked 18 hours a day for about 5 to 7 years doing this. I mean, so he kept telling me me and him were like yin and yang. We did not get along. He kept telling me to go to 72nd and Columbus on Columbus Avenue between 72nd and 73rd Street. He said that there's a guy selling hats. He's making a fortune. I wish I would have listened to him. He told me that 3 years later. I said, you know what? Let me try out the spot. It was like these people never saw a pair of socks in their life. Whatever I brought out, I came home with like 2 pairs of socks.
Why do you think it was so popular?
Because,
By Central Park.
well, it was popular. Columbus Avenue was a shopping neighborhood. People who shop there have a lot of money. Then they see somebody who's selling quality goods like myself, and you can't pass up a quality item when let's say you go and shop at Bloomingdale's and they're selling 1 pair of socks for $12, and it could be made in Costa Rica or Colombia, let's say. I'm selling something very similar made in America for $3 a pair.
When did the revolution happen where the variety increased, where novelty socks became more?
It ballooned. I would say it started to balloon in the 90s. In the 90s, it just started, and now it's like, I mean, I get 100 emails a day. Everybody wants to sell me socks. I'm very particular as to what I carry. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I know what quality is. So, I mean, if I don't see and feel the product, I cannot sell it. But it's like, even you can go to the airport and there will be a kiosk of socks. That's how popular this has become. So one of my 7 most hated words in life is shoulda, coulda, woulda, if, and, or, but. So in the 80s, the banks wouldn't have gone for it. But in the 90s, if I would have gone to a bank and say, listen, I want this, the name of the store is the Sock Man. I want to franchise this all over the world and all over the states. Would you front me the money to do so? There's a very good chance it may have happened. So in the early 90s, there were some stores starting to pop up, but nothing to what I was doing. And there are a lot of people that came inside my store and knocked me off and now have big stores all over. Right now there's a major saturation of stores of my nature, but I get a lot of compliments. Somebody wants to be part of.
This is a very interesting development here at Ha Ha Hanley.
Do any of your friends want to come in? Or?
I don't know.
I'm just going to leave the door open, and if they want to come in, they can.
Unlocked. Couldn't do it in the old days.
I I just need new socks, and you have all the
Here,
socks.
This entire wall.
No, I know. I'll be back. I have to come here because you're the only one that has the stuff
Are you
that I
looking
want.
for a particular style?
No,
Are you looking for a basic style?
no, definitely not basic. No.
Well, I mean, if you want fun socks, look.
Did you see the one with
I just don't. It's just gonna take me time.
I mean, this is mine, but I unfortunately didn't get it copyrighted. This is the Universal Sun.
That's terrible.
No, I've been doing this for many years, and me, like a schmuck, did not get it copyrighted. So I gave this company 10 styles, and they dropped all the 9 styles, and now they're making this in 3 different colors, which I'm really thrilled about.
How did you not get that?
Is it your actual sketch?
Yeah,
I like how this American flag made in Korea. Hey, what else is made in USA? Your brand is made
my
in USA.
brand,
You
yeah.
used to make a point of carrying Made in America.
Right,
Yeah.
but
That's
but
actually what I want.
I mean, Wheelhouse is made in America. We're a little bit low on the men's. What size shoe do you wear?
8.
If you were an 8,
A transaction in the making, people.
have you
His
ever
friends are outside.
socks you have like a
See what's going on with the camera. It's possible we could be running out of power. You might think that's Rick Ocasek. It is not. Bisexual. We got a first laugh at the show.
well, with your shoe size, you can fit into either women's and men's.
When did you sell out?
I'm sorry.
When did you start selling non-American socks?
Well, I mean, you don't have it. Wigwam has been making socks in America for 110 years. It's 4th generation. The kids, they just continued it. So but the problem is with Wigwam, it's basically a boring company. So, I mean, this is like. So,
Adam,
What?
it is time.
I know. I'm sorry.
this
Look,
Yeah, that
I
is
got you
Metal
Slayer
socks.
socks. Are you kidding me?
Slater.
We have Slayer, we have Iron
right, let's
Maiden.
go.
They're
we
long
have-
though. What are these?
Is this?
No, they're not
for
long.
chicks?
No. We have. Listen to me. It's not. It's how they put it on the cardboard. Look.
yeah, it's not
There's
long.
the
They're
heel.
normal.
There's the heel. So in actuality, once you put your foot in, it's a crew length.
Oh.
It's made to. Everybody has the perception
Right.
that's a long sock, but they put it on this cardboard,
Okay.
but it's a regular size.
Buy those and let's go.
Hold on.
I would say it's going to continue to progress and be moderately
Thanks,
positive.
Marty.
No
I
problem.
would tell
Now, novelty socks are very strong for me. So back in the day when I first started my business on the street, sometimes I was able to acquire novelty socks, but they were never made like these. These are high quality novelty socks. I mean, these are very clean and
Reminds me of Wohop. You used to go there after shows. To me, it's still like one of the remaining old New York places.
oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I've been actually the last time I went there was with family. We were there at 6 o'clock at night, and every table was taken, and the food I mean,
Downstairs.
they have a place the same name upstairs. You don't want to go upstairs. Downstairs is the place, and it was packed at 6 o'clock at night, and they just
And then it was packed at 6 o'clock in the morning.
probably, but I don't stay out all night anymore. I'm just not. I'm not in my 20s and 30s anymore. So it's just, and also I just can't. Also, the whole music scene in Manhattan has changed quite a bit. Now the music scene has gone to Brooklyn, and the person that really took his place in that scene, who's also phenomenal, is Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. The only reason as to why I didn't like him, the radio stations tend to kill an artist, so I didn't like Bruce Springsteen until one day I was able to acquire a rent-stabilized apartment in Gramercy Park, and my friend calls me up on Thanksgiving Day or Eve or something like that in that vicinity, and he says, I have free tickets to go to see Bruce Springsteen. You want to go? And I said, I really don't like him. He goes, Marty, come on, you got to go. Anyway, after that, I was
Where was it?
Madison Square Garden.
yeah.
He, you remember John Sherry used to put on a lot of concert. He was a concert promoter back in the day. He was very close with John Sher. He started out originally. My friend started out originally as a roadie, became a tour manager, and he got friendly with a lot of people. So he was friends with John Sher. John Sher gave him 2 free tickets to see Bruce Springsteen.
What year was this?
I'm gonna guess and say it was about 1983, 84.
Before Born in the USA.
Right. No, actually, it was right before Born in the USA came out like 2 weeks later. Too late, but everybody thinks that I play guitar. I play air guitar. I mean, it's one instrument that I always wanted to learn, but never made the time to
This is
do
all
so.
keys, right? The
Yeah.
Doors were keys.
Yeah, well, it's
One of my favorite
Raymond.
trivia questions, or trick question I'll ask someone. Who was the bassist for the Doors?
Wow, that's a good question.
Trick question. There was no bassist. There was.
Right, there was because Ray Manzarek played everything with the organ.
Yeah.
And it was Robbie Krieger as the guitar player. John Densmore was the drummer, and Jim Morrison. There was no bass player.
It's a great band.
Yep.
I got
And they all died at the famous age of 27. They have a poster of all the people that died at 27.
They should have a sock.
They should have a 27 sock. It's a great idea.
I haven't been keeping enough cheese in my house. You should always have at least a pack of cheese in there, right? So that
I have some Laughing Cow cheese in my refrigerator.
Laughing Cow cheese, the great. When me and my brother were growing up, it was like a biggest luxury for us.
You want a piece of Laughing Cow?
red.
Do you want a piece of
Please,
Laughing Cow cheese?
I'd gladly pay you Tuesday.
No, it's on the house.
It's getting me 6 days. It's not flavored, is it? It's
No, it's Laughing Cow Swiss cheese.
yeah, because I started adding flavors to them.
No. I tried the flavors and they're not good at all.
Yeah, like who the hell wants chive,
No.
garlic?
I had I forgot what it was. It was sun-dried tomato. I tossed it in the garbage can. It was not good at all. You know, crackers, it's even better. Sometimes I even take it and put it on a piece of bread and just spread it on a piece of bread. It's delicious.
Not toast. Toast would be better.
Actually, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to try that the next day. On toast, it would even be better. Almost be like a melted cheese sandwich.
Yeah. We are signing off here from Ha Ha Hanley. Any last words?
If you're ever in the need of some great socks, you should definitely visit the Sock Man, located at 99 St. Mark's Place between Avenue A and First, but closer to First Avenue, and we'd be more than happy to help you out.
Thanks a lot, Marty. Great to see you. I'll be around.